Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy. If you're new here, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. On this channel, we do a lot of stuff about side hustles and small businesses and positive mindsets and things like that. So I try every day to come up with something that I'm grateful for, and I post my little gratitude videos every single day, Monday through Friday. So definitely check those out. But this video is a little different, and I had a really cool idea. I pulled some videos from Instagram Reels to show people what's going on in the world, and particularly what's going on in the United States, because some people I know are literally denying anything is happening and think everything is just status quo. They're living in a bubble, and unfortunately, shit is hitting the fan, and they do not know what's coming to them. So I wanted to kind of give a cool little example of what's going down. And if you have any comments, please leave them down below. Like, share, subscribe, please. Trying to get to 50 subscribers. So we're going to have a pizza party on live. Once I'm able to go live, we're going to have a pizza party. So that'll be a lot of fun. And also in the comments, in the pinned comments, I am a Temu affiliate. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not partnered with them or anything, but I am an affiliate. I'm trying to save up a little bit of money just so that I can get some actual gear so I can, podcast without using my phone and all the fun stuff between my phone and computer. So if you are new to Temu or you've never used it, definitely give it a shot. It's a really cool program. I use it myself all the time. And I would never ever sponsor something or be an affiliate of anything that I don't use personally, because it's just against my better judgment, really. So anyway, so today's video is going to be fun. I'm going to try to pop in as much as possible to give you examples of what's going on. And I'm going to kind of break down how the MAGA people, MAGA, I don't know how you pronounce it. I just say MAGA. The Make America Great Again people are, some of them, not all of them, some of them are basically brainwashed to be in a cult. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. I'm going to show you some Instagram Reels of that. It's pretty interesting. And if you like it, please like, share, subscribe, comment, all this stuff. Really want to get to that 50 subscribers, people. Come on. Anyway, without further ado, let's go.
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
This fellow seems to know what he's talking about.
Yes, he knows all right.
What's the answer? What are we real Americans going to do about it? You'll find it right here in this little pamphlet.
Excuse me, young man, but are you actually going to read that stuff?
Sure, why not? You heard what he said, didn't you?
Yes, I heard. But do you believe in that kind of talk?
I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
I'm speaking to you as an American. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these people.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fellow's talking about me.
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These are your enemies.
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you.
Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do. We, the people, are free.
Park Service posted about this a few days ago, and other folks have as well. There's a man in the Midwest arrested last week for the things he was saying online about Elon Musk. We have a member of Congress who was sent a threatening letter by the Department of Justice saying they will investigate him.
This next video talks about the cult and how to know if you're in a cult. And it's really funny. The creator did a great job. I was not able to figure out who the creator was. But if it's you or you know who it is, please send me their information so I can credit them in this video. However, the BITE model is what it talks about. It's behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. And if you watch the video, you'll see how each and every one of those is touched upon in this video. Whoever did this, kudos to you, because this was an awesome one.
Land of freedom, independence, and individual thinking. But sometimes an idea comes along that's just a little different. And before you know it, whoops, you're in a cult.
Honey, where are my eggs?
Dear leader says Joe Biden took them.
The signs are crystal clear. Learn how to spot them in How to Know You Are in a Cult. First sign, good leader. For a cult to work, it needs a good leader, and a good leader is never wrong. If something bad happens like high gas prices, a recession, or even a plane crashing,
President Trump says it was Joe Biden.
he needs to be able to shift the blame. Second sign, don't question. In a cult, questioning the leader can be dangerous. The moment you think for yourself, poof, you disappear quicker than an aging wife. Third sign, loyalty wins. A good cult leader must reward loyalty. And if you're a billionaire, well, you can do whatever you want, even to the least deserved. Fourth sign, see things his way. Even if you saw things with your own eyes and ears and every shred of evidence points in one direction, if he says otherwise, see things his way. So how do you know you're in a cult? Simple. If your leader is never wrong, punishes his enemies, and lets his richest friends run amok, while convincing you that everything bad is someone else's fault, well, congratulations. You are in a cult.
White House, which is right there, has made some changes about how journalists like me can cover the President of the United States. And so far, the biggest one is the change in what we call the press pool. And we serve as the eyes and ears for all of our colleagues who can't be right there, because imagine shoving 100 or 200 people into the Oval Office. So for nearly a century, the White House Correspondents Association, a nonpartisan independent group, has organized this press pool and the rotation. And we all follow the president around if it's our turn to serve in the pool. This week, the White House announced that it would control who gets to be in the pool.
The White House Correspondents Association has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore.
Why does that matter? Because this is the group that is closest to President Trump. This is also the group that has the opportunity to ask him questions when they are, just feet away from him. And we know that President Trump loves to take questions.
Do you have any questions, please?
When you have White House officials handpicking the reporters who get to be in the room, who get to hold the president accountable, the concern is that could shade the journalism that is being brought to you, and it could shade the questions that are being asked and give the president an opportunity to just present one side, which is exactly why we had this independent organization that operated with a set of standards to ensure that you, the news consumer at home, is getting unbiased and fair coverage of the president.
These people are human beings. That really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Mm-hmm. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. You're saying about yourself that, you know, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Catherine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that door.
I'm 12 years old. I attend Buffalo Middle School. I play for varsity volleyball, and I run track. My education is very important to me, and I plan on doing great things in life. If a man decides that I'm an object and does unspeakable and tragic things to me, am I a child supposed to carry and birth another child? Am I to put my body through the physical trauma of pregnancy? Am I to suffer the mental implications? A child who had no say in what was being done with my body. Some here say they are pro-life. What about my life? And does my life not matter to you?
North Carolina just passed a bill, Bill 3537, stating that if a woman gets pregnant and she miscarries and they think it's her fault that she miscarried, she worked too hard, she went horseback riding, she rode a bicycle, she went on vacation, got on an airplane, and after doing this activity, she loses the baby, she's going to be charged with murder, which is punishable by life in prison or the death penalty. And in this bill, it states they're protecting unborn children or unborn people who are made in the likeliness of God. And I thought the First Amendment said that, you know, you can't make laws based off of religion. Me, personally, I'm going to teach my kids not to get pregnant. They can just not, don't do it.
Dear American sisters, we will fight for you. Please help us fight for us too. We need to protect abortion rights in the EU. Help us spread the message. We need 160,000 signatures more.
Servant, just an appendage, lift to attendance so that he never Christian nationalists walk around with a mouthful of scripture and a heart full of hate. Don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. Jesus didn't tell us to love our churches. He didn't tell us to love our doctrines and our creeds. He didn't even tell us to love our scriptures. He told us to love our neighbors. And there was no exception to that commandment. Love thy neighbor, regardless of race, class, gender, sexual orientation, or immigration status. One of my favorite theologians, Barbara Brown Taylor, once wrote, "The only clear line I draw these days is this: when my religion tries to come between me and my neighbor, I will choose my neighbor." Jesus never commanded me to love my religion. You know what's interesting? Not once in the entire Bible does Jesus ask us to worship him. All he asks is that we follow him. Love like he loved. Love the outcast. Welcome the stranger. Feed the hungry. Heal the sick. Free the oppressed. As the hymn says, they will know we are Christians by our love. We have to get back to that.
And I'll tell you that the appropriate response for horrible language and horrible ideas, the appropriate response is a better idea. The power that we come from all walks of life, that we come from all parts of this country, that we come from all races, we come from all backgrounds, gender, all makeup, all upbringing. The power of that diversity comes together and makes us that much more powerful. That's a much better idea than small thinking and horrible ideas. If you can't treat someone with dignity and respect, then you need to get out. If you can't treat someone from another gender, whether that's a man or a woman, with dignity and respect, then you need to get out. If you demean someone in any way, then you need to get out. And if you can't treat someone from another race or a different color skin with dignity and respect, then you need to get out.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back. No. Turn around, put your hands behind her back. Now you're resistant. Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
I'm trying to go get my shoes.
Were doing whatever they could in order to solicit a felony charge against a 10-year-old. It's sick. I mean, a special needs 10-year-old.
Sounds like an assault to a liberal.
To do it? I mean, it will, if it'll help.
In this situation, she wasn't posing a danger to herself or anyone else at that point in time.
If they'd like her to be released to me, please, are you charging her right this second? If you're not charging her right now, are you charging her? She's detained, sir. Okay, you need to release her.
No, sir.
Saw this sticker on the front window of women's clothing store Rare Trends in East Austin, reading "exclusively for white people, maximum of 5 colored customers." There's also a city logo, and above it, sponsored by the City of Austin Contemporary Partition and Restoration. Caroline Gray is the director of sales and marketing for the store. She came in Wednesday expecting an average day, not knowing what was on the store's front window.
Come in from the side and in through the front door, off to the left, so I don't see the front of the sign when I come in the door.
That was until the phone started ringing.
And she said, "I just walked by your store and there's a sign in the window that says you only allow white people to shop." And I was like, "What?"
Gray walked outside and saw it for herself. Austin police came to the store to investigate. It turns out Rare Trends is not the only business hit by vandals with the sticker. It was also put on Windmill Bicycles and El Chiquito restaurant on Manor Road. The city's code enforcement officers will be looking for other stickers and the person or people posting them.
You didn't see that sign? You didn't see it? You didn't see it? It's a big circle, in the window before you even walk in, before you unlock the doors. But hey.
A kid bringing out his trash to be dumped and he's getting harassed by the police.
He was taking out his trash, yo.
This is a perfect hit. What are you doing handcuffed? Why do you do handcuffed? Why are black kids have to go through trauma like this at all time? You always use it as an excuse, man. It doesn't matter once you're black, you match any description. Bottom line. You know?
That's the wrong shit, though. That's wrong description and shit.
They done arrested him, brought the canine down here. Now they've arrested the young boy, but then traumatized him. All these cops put him in a cop car.
Now they about to tell lies.
Because as I'm sitting here and there seemed to be this question of you're either diverse or you're qualified, all I could think about was the fact that I currently hold an honorary doctorate. I also hold a Juris Doctorate. I also hold a bachelor's. I also technically hold the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Civil Air Patrol, and I actually practiced law for almost 2 decades, in addition to serving on various boards, in addition to being a prior state lawmaker. And there are those that would make some people believe that because I happen to be black and or a woman, that somehow, even though I can rattle off all the qualifications in the world, my blackness makes me unqualified.
I might not go to church a lot, but she's preaching the gospel right there. Preach, sister!
The 400 wealthiest white people in this country have the same cumulative amount of wealth as all 41 million black people in this country combined. Let me restate, so you know that I did not misstate. 400 people, the same cumulative amount of wealth as all 41 million black folks combined, right? And the wealthiest 1,000 people, the same amount, well, 1,000 white people, the same amount of cumulative wealth as all black and Latino folks in this country combined. Now, no one in their right mind is going to suggest that there are 400 white people that have worked that much harder than all black Americans and 1,000 that have worked that much harder than all black and Latino folks. And yet, if that's not the explanation, what is? Well, this inertia, this ability to rack up advantages. It's like an 8-lap race. I've got a 5-lap head start. Here's the deal. I'm supposed to cross the finish line first. That's how that happens, right? And in fact, if I start out with a 5-lap head start and at the end of the race, I'm only up by 4, I'm not the faster runner, right? So in fact, if any of those gaps shrink at all, it ought to tell you something. That is that some folks are actually working harder, running faster, metaphorically speaking, and still, because of inertia, lag behind. So we have to think of racism that way.
Black people need to stop complaining about systemic racism and take some personal responsibility. Everyone is equal under the law now. They may be policed more, but that's only because they commit a disproportionate amount of the crime. Why? Well, I'm not saying that black people are naturally more likely to be criminals or anything. I just think it's a part of their culture. Why? Well, probably because their dads weren't around to raise them properly. Why? I don't know, probably because they were too poor to afford a kid, so they left. Why? Well, they probably can't get a good job because they never went to college. Why? Well, I guess it is probably because they couldn't afford it, but they didn't get good enough grades to get a scholarship either. Why? Well, I guess that is probably because their school is underfunded. Why? Because school funding is determined by property taxes and they were born into poor areas. Why? Because their family hasn't been able to build enough wealth to move out. Why? Because the first black people who were born with equal rights under the law are less than 60 years old.
History of America is the history of rich white men telling not rich white people that their enemies are black and brown. It starts in the colonies of what would become the United States. Let's remember, during the colonial period, mid-1600s, there was no such thing as white people. I know some people who are now called white find that shocking, right? Because they think whiteness is real, right? But whiteness was created. Europeans didn't call themselves white. We didn't call ourselves white. We weren't all members of one big happy family. Are you kidding? Have you studied the history of Europe? The history of Europe was about killing each other. That's what we did in Europe. We just killed each other before we figured out there were other people to kill. We just killed each other, right? I mean, that was the history of Europe. The English hated the Irish, right? Northern Italians didn't even think that Southern Italians were Italians. The Germans hated everybody. And everybody hated their ass right back, right? There was no team called white, no race called white, but all of a sudden, in the middle of the 1600s, there was. Why? Why was it suddenly necessary to create this thing called the white race? Well, because rich people can count, that's why. And so rich folks looked around, the ones that owned all the land, you know, in the colonies, the colonial elite looked around and they realized something, that they were heavily outnumbered by African enslaved folks, by European indentured servants who were just one level above a slave, or other Europeans who weren't technically indentured servants, but they were still peasants, didn't have any money, didn't have any land, and they could do the math. They added it up and they were like, damn.
One by one, hurrah, hurrah. Soldiers marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. Soldiers marching one by one, the greatest one always gets got by the gun. And they all go marching down in the ground, the streets, in the mud, the system, in the rain, the struggle. Boom, 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 boom.
There's a war going on in my city. And I'm not too sure if anyone else is noticing that there are people being drafted, not knowing that they are fighting on the front lines.
You've been sleeping for too long, but you have not been dreamless.
The sounds of pummeling gunshots have made themselves too much like rain.
I do not know what else would have woken your slumber.
There's a war going on.
Battles on every block, bullets for every baby that'll grow up.
Too black,
too brown,
too gay,
too Muslim, too minority.
Well, the minorities are no longer settling for being called minor.
They know better than to sit and wait for the revolution to be televised. Lady Liberty has never been black.
But even she is starting to notice that you are disappearing. There's a war going on. And politicians will keep telling us that we've got it all backwards. Well, war turned around spells raw. We've been stripped raw of our humanity.
We did not just come for raw tobacco or cotton, but rice, corn, sugar cane to sweeten their tea.
Remember why they call cotton the fabric of our lives. There's a war going on.
Unspoken battle.
Muslim women with their backs against the wall.
Trying to fight off attacks of questions and accusations from those who do not understand that these women have nothing to hide,
but would rather cloak themselves in dignity
than conform to the sexualized society.
Nobody ever thinks that maybe 9/11 was an emergency phone call to the nation begging us to
wake up, wake up,
wake up. Wake up and learn to stand together. I've never seen a more disposable human being than a black boy.
When one dies, another one will be back on those same streets the next day.
Dying just to be granted the title of a soldier.
And they all people know a life is subtraction. They know struggle like communion. When did it become so easy for them to buy out our silence?
There's a war going on in D.C. We even changed the beat of our music so you wouldn't hear the gunshots in our go-go. We chop with choppers on our waist and fuses in our feet. Made revolution and war interchangeable.
Rent welfare and affirmative action as cheap compensation. They claim that such programs are enforcing reverse discrimination. But there be no such thing as reverse discrimination if we were discriminated on in the first place.
There'd be no such thing as war if we weren't born in a country built off of each other's blood.
But we have been stacking bodies and bigotry, trying to reach the impossible. I'm sorry. You are a soldier. There's a war going on in my city. There's a war going on in your city. There's a war going on in our cities, and you are fighting every day that you decide to live. The greatest one always gets rather than die. And we all go marching down.
I'd like to show you some images of Gaza that were taken. Fox News aired this. I mean, that is, as they put it, in an apocalyptic scene in Gaza. This is an uninhabitable place for human beings. Do you really think that families can live their dream in a region that looks like this, with no running water, no electricity? And the special envoy to the president, Steve Witkoff, recently traveled to Gaza, as you all know. And he came back with images that he showed the president of the dire situation here. And the president made this decision with a humanitarian heart for all people.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it. and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job.
What the Western media isn't showing you right now is that we are witnessing one of the largest led student movements in the area since 1968 in Serbia right now. 62 out of 80 universities have been shut down by their own students. 24-hour blockades have been taking place. Self-organizing resistance hubs and education hubs have been organized by the students themselves. Along with this, hundreds of people have been going, thousands on the streets all over Serbia, demanding for systems change and less corruption in their government. This shows that people-led movements will never be shown through Western media.
Are you coming to the tree? They strung up a man, they say I'm gonna free. Strange things that happen to you, stranger would it be? We met at midnight in the hanging tree.
Sing this shit!
Hello.
We were just talking about you kids.
I'm Denise Heberly.
And I'm Bill Goodman.
Together, we've been fighting fascism for over 50 years.
And so much has changed over those 50 years, such as the ingredients to a successful firebomb.
And the glass that bank windows are made of.
But there's one thing that hasn't changed over 50 years, something that is so important to tell you kids who are new to this movement.
Shut the fuck up. You're sitting in the police transport van after a protest?
Shut the fuck up. In a holding cell with your comrades?
Shut the fuck up. Cop knocks on your door?
Shut the fuck up.
Texting on an unsecured device?
Shut the fuck up. Pulled over by the cops after a protest?
Shut the fuck up. Cop just asking about your day?
Shut the fuck up. Feds call your mom?
Tell your mother to shut the fuck up.
Now, repeat after me. When the cops come calling, what do you do?
Shut the fuck up!
Your Honors, you will likely never see or hear this, and someday it may come back to haunt me for exercising my current right to free speech, but I must speak up on behalf of the future generations who will look back on this in shame. I am not an attorney. I am a lowly healthcare worker who is primarily works with senior citizens, so I apologize for my non-legal jargon and lack of court decorum. I am pleading with you, begging you to overturn the immunity that you have granted Donald Trump. He, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk have torn this country apart in less than a month of his term. Protesters are in the streets because he has fired thousands of federal workers. He has suppressed the freedom of the press by not allowing the Associated Press in the White House. He has taken control of the FCC, the FTC, and the SEC. Many, if not most, of the government employees he fired were involved in investigations into Elon Musk's business deals as well as his own. The Department of Justice is involved in a corruption scandal with the mayor of New York, leading to many federal attorneys resigning. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have brought us to the brink of economic disaster, the brink of civil war, and to the brink of World War III. Our elected officials cannot or will not do anything to stop this madness, so our only hope for the checks and balances the framers built into the Constitution lies within the judicial branch. As an American, I am begging you to put an end to this before it's too late, and it already may be. Remember your oath to the Constitution, to the American people. Please overturn immunity for Donald Trump for the sake of the American people, the survival for us as a nation, and possibly the survival of humanity itself. Thank you for your time and your service to this country.
We don't have inflation because the people are living too well. We have inflation because the government is living too well.
We are experiencing the same thing in this country right now, and it's time to come together. Across ideologies, across parties, it's time to unite to fix our democracy. Because regardless of where our politics fall, at the grassroots, the American people don't deserve to pay taxes to a system that is rigged against them. Fuck that.
Nobody's talking about extermination.
No one ever talks about it. They just do it. And you go on with your lives, ignoring the signs all around you.
Hey, Editing Mandy here. Just wanted to pop on real quick. I do not believe this person is a time traveler. I just thought it was a really interesting video, so I wanted to throw that in there. Not crazy, okay?
Wake up, we just lost another family. Wake up, cause we need the world to see. No love, they will never understand us. Too bad, we're just bodies on the screen. Wake up, they don't care about the people. Wake up, they don't care about you too. Oh love, if you're walking with the people, hold on, cause they're coming for you. Wake up, little boy, they don't want you. Wake up, you might threaten their plan. Run, run, oh, before they come and find you. Grow up till you're taught to fight back.